welcome to this knowledge series sessions that we're having. We wanted to look at what are the prospects of Indian realty in 2023, and generally for India and for Bengaluru as a market, and if any other southern cities also that you would like to share, we can look at those. Right now, just to start off, I would like to share some information in terms of data points that we've collected. And what you see out here is that, what we have seen also, everyone's spoken about this many times, is that 2022 was largely a year for recovery for real estate markets in India, for commercial office, for residential, for hospitality, for retail. All of these asset classes, saw recovery, and they all saw growth not only in demand but also prices and rents. Okay, and supply, of course, the trends that were continuing. Hats off to the developer lobby across the country also, that even during the times of COVID, they managed to make sure that most of their sites could still keep going on. Maybe some of them had to apply for extensions under ERA, but that is something I think that most people were ready for. Okay, and supply was still increasing. So what we've seen is that on an aggregate basis, and these are cities, the top 13 cities that we talk about, we've split up Mumbai metropolitan region into Mumbai, Thane and Navi Mumbai, the NCR market into Delhi, Gurgaon, Noida, Greater Noida. So, extra cities have been added on that. And otherwise, the prominent cities of Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, Pune, these are the cities, Ahmedabad and Kolkata, right? So these are the 13 cities. So what we've seen is that, of course, demand went up, which was great news. There was price increases, and these are because of two reasons. One is input costs were going up, so a lot of real estate had to pass on the increases, and in some cases, because the demand was also going up, is that as supply was decreasing, we could see that there was appreciation happening out there. Even in the Bangalore markets, we've seen that actually compared to the India, Bangalore had the best growth story, where we've seen a 33% increase in demand, and supply has also increased in rate. Now, what I'd like to qualify out here is that when we're talking about demand out here, we are talking about actually demand which is live, real-time demand. Okay, because we are not talking about any kind of transactions which have already been closed. Okay, so we're not talking about those deals which were done before, maybe 6 months, a year or 2 years ago, where an agreement was registered now. We're talking about people who are actually actively looking at it, because the simple thing is that, Magicbricks website and its apps and all, we get a lot of people looking for properties, right? Most people are on those sites because it's not an Amazon where you're just browsing to see if you can get a good deal. Because you're specifically interested in investing or buying real estate for your own use, you're coming to and looking at what the options are. So that's the demand that we are capturing. Against this backdrop, when we know that last year was a year of recovery, what is this year going to be? Because especially towards the end of 2022, there were signs saying that there's going to be a global, decline in terms of recession coming in because of certain geopolitical conditions that are happening. Last few weeks, we've seen that a lot of IT majors in the world, global majors, have been laying off people. Some of that trend we're seeing now in India also happening. So there's been a little bit of concern also, is that will this dampen the growth story that India has? Of course, it's not the Indian government, but globally, institutions like the World Bank, IMF, investors, large investors have been saying that, okay, we expect that the India growth story will still be very high, and that amongst the major economies, India will probably see the highest GDP growth rate. Are those assurances enough? What do you feel, will be this thing?
I personally believe that, one, the India growth story, I think the whole world is viewing India today purely because the rest of the world have already outlived or outgrown their potential. Now, unless they go for regeneration, because most of the assets that have been built over a period of time have been degenerating. So unless they go for rebuilding, regeneration, rehousing, the potential demand may not be seen as much. But overall, I think everybody in the world is optimistic about the fact that yes, you have a growth here. But again, they are very cautious about it, optimistically cautious. Purely because they don't see, no one today has got the crystal ball to look at it and say, yes, these were the causes, these are the effects, and this is the reason why real estate will continue to grow the way it was going. It's good to know that everybody believed the story that yes, post-COVID, things have changed, the numbers have grown, the demand has grown, the supply is also growing. But the fact is, nobody realized that during that time, during the COVID time, is probably the first time in the history of everybody living that a family of 4 or a family of 5, which thought a 3-bedroom was a great accommodation, is only when they were all locked in together did they realize that an additional 500 or a 700 square feet is going to will make their life more comfortable. Also, the other fact is everybody had saved a lot of money because there was no expenditure on clothes, no expenditure on costumes, no expenditure on cosmetics, nothing. So people were living bare. The savings rate went up. I think banking statistics are good for that. Banks have enough statistics on what kind of money was saved during that particular period. So that will give you the right number. Also, the belief that yes, see, real estate has always been cyclical. There's never been you can never say that it's going to be climbing all the time. But my experience tells me that yes, things are looking good, things are looking better, things will look great. And I do see the cycles in this business, which were earlier peaks and valleys, high peaks and deep valleys. Now from here onwards, what I see is there will be recession, there will be positive growth, but it will be very, very short. It won't be as long as, like this time around, I think from 2011-12, you saw some incremental in 2015-16, then you saw a long lull. And this lull comes from the fact that between the understanding of the average buyer and the media that keeps giving them plus, minus, negative, positive growth. And you have to realize, because it's an emotional buy, most people are looking at all the indicators, whether it's going in the direction of buy or no. But during the COVID, everybody who was on rent had to face multiple issues. So that has also tilted in favor of a buy. So a lot of people who would have otherwise been happy with just renting have also changed their track and are willing to buy. What we understand from ground reality is those smaller units that people were looking for are probably changed their own thinking, and they don't mind taking a slightly bigger unit so that they could be more comfortable to start with. Now, affordability, people always said that everything is to do with your income, everything is to do with. I personally believe what I read from various sources is the earnest money or the simple 20% margin, which people were always short of putting it before they could get a home loan. Because of this huge saving that they have had during the COVID time, and plus minus whatever they would have otherwise saved, it actually helped them bridge the gap. The many contributors to the sudden surge in demand, apart from just COVID, is the experience that people have had in their own living environment during COVID. Restrictions, embargo post on them by either the societies or the area in which they live. And on top of it, the amount that they could save. See, a lot of couples who would have otherwise spent 3 days a week money entertaining over the weekends have actually saved hell of a lot. And speaking for all sectors, I mean, I wouldn't say whether it's IT, ITES, FMCG, all of them, every individual has saved. I think probably we have remained one of the few countries in the world where companies have not, really slashed your incomes. They have marginally reduced your income, but everyone has brought it back to the normal. So that is why this surge in demand is. I also believe that because we are a whole lot of new generation. See, look at it in the terms of demographic, purchases demographics. A lot of people who were not competent or who were probably not the ones who could buy 5 years ago have come into that bracket. So you see a lot of population shift between 25 and 30 and 20 and 25. That population shift is also indicating that they're also now changing their thought process and wanting to buy. The earlier statement used to be millennials and the Zen next will not buy. I think today they also realize what is the importance of your own home and how valuable the asset is.
So, but do you have any this thing about what percentage of people today are buying? I mean, it may be a small percentage, but what percentage? Because before there was.
Well, I could tell you from one of my project experience where we have 400 units on the outer ring road. If you take data on that project of mine, the average age of the purchaser could be anywhere from 28 to 40.
Okay.
And the price and the size of the apartment go up to from 1700 to 2400.
Okay.
And the value goes anywhere between 1.5 to 1.8.
Okay.
So if I stand with that kind of data, it tells me that there's a whole bunch of target audience in that group, that range, willing to look at a 3-bedroom. See, they're not the theory that a 2-bedroom and a 3-bedroom. Right now, what they're looking for is a 2+. Is not just a 2.
True.
And the 2+ can be a part 3, can be a workspace, can be a home office, can be anything. Now, a lot of people today are saying, if I can borrow, or if I have the ability to borrow, the Indian history of repayment of loans, people have taken 15, 17, 20-year loans and paid off in 7 to 8 years. That's the average statistics available with all the leading home loan buyers, home loan givers. So if you look at it, I think people have gone over the fear of borrowing money for housing. The mindset of the human being has changed. See, from an economy that was very reliant on your own money and was averse to borrowing for personal purpose. They were willing to borrow for work, that is, willing to borrow for business. But personally, even today, I think we are the least exposed community or least exposed population to debt personally.
No, I think that's extremely interesting. I mean, what you shared, I think, in terms of the demand where it has come from, because this is what I think the feeling is that was last year pent up demand. Is it a bubble which is now it's run out of steam, and we will see no growth or little growth or average growth? I think that's what the concern for most people is for this year.
Majority of the facts were well reflected by Ramani Sastri sir. If we remember some of our discussions before COVID, people were used to talk about home as an experience. India, we were always talk home as an emotion, but of late that millennials came and we thought everyone was discussing, is home is going to play that role which it was used to play, or is it going to become a service? So thanks to COVID, that discussion now at least will not be there for the next at least few years. It's the 2022 recovery is, there are many factors added to that. One is, yes, people have recognized the importance of the home. Home has become their world. It has become their office, it has become their school, it has become their everything, their restaurant. Their, of late you are getting every food from Swiggy and Zomato, but the same food it is to be enjoyed in the, whether it is a candlelight dinner, whatever it is to be at your home, from the restaurant, whichever you want. So it has become a world for you. So now this, even though it's a small period of 3 to 6 months, but it has impacted a lot of impact on their thought process. So it's not just the pent up demand. If you see those people who are on rent, they don't have the eligibility, at least they are buying a 2-bedroom, second-hand 2-bedroom. The people who were owning a 2-bedroom second own, they are upgrading themselves. We have seen in many of the projects, people upgrading their homes from 2-bedroom to 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, or 3-bedroom to 4-bedroom, 2-bedroom to 3-bedroom, or if not 2.5-bedroom. So here, those who are having a home also buying, those who are not having a home also buying.
And the turning point for the whole real estate sector was the COVID 2020. maybe 1 or 2 quarters, it has got impacted because nobody has got clue what is the future lies, how the future will be. And after that, the market has really picked up like that case. I think that was the point people have understood, the importance of having own house, the sense of belongingness, the stability which it offers, the security which it offers. People have got all the nightmarish experiences during COVID time. That has brought them over them. And the new way of living, like as Madhusudhan has said, like it has become their whole world. And during lockdown, I think all of us has lived in house, in our home, our own home. And then we realized we need to have an additional space for the working, for the education, for the recreation, even for your fitness. The whole world has been, suddenly it has converged into a home. That has brought the demand, what we are seeing, and that has really been a game changer for the real estate sector. The demand from upgrading and from switching over from the rental to their own houses, the so-called co-living, which was more thriving, it's at a very, very moderation level as such. Even along with that, there was a significant change in the customer behavior also. Earlier, it was more like walk to work or so. Okay. Now they are looking for a little more than proximity. We could see the behavioral change is more with the connectivity. They don't mind traveling a little bit, which gives a very open space, larger spaces, more with greenery and probably larger decks, sun-kissed homes, being in a nature, more in a greener aspect of it. So that is one consumer behavioral change we could see. And of course, a larger home. Yes. So that demand is getting continued. And that was the time when the the whole business has got into digital mode. IT sector was doing well. So those layoffs were not there. Savings, what Ramani ji has mentioned, those savings were there. Plus there was a promotion and the incremental income also for all those IT guys, because the sector was doing very well. So this has resulted in a very highly disposable household income. And that has resulted into the new demand. And when we see the data, all the new demands are coming majorly from 40 to 50%. Not only in Bangalore, I would say throughout country, it's coming from the millennials. And he rightly said 28 to 42, this is the age group which they are buying it. And the way the country and the world which is becoming more and more younger, I think this demand is going to be sustained for a longer term in terms of the innate demand. Second, the conducive atmosphere of economy. India has done fantastically well in last 2, 3, 4 years.
But one of the key questions that goes on in a lot of minds is also is that, housing estate, especially housing real estate, was also considered to be an investment avenue. And in the last few years, we've also been talking about the fact that investors have gone out of the market and it's largely an end user driven market. So do we think that will continue, or do we see investors coming back? Because a lot of investors moved out from residential real estate to commercial real estate. Okay, they moved on even from that into strata, ownership of various assets, into REITs, which is also great for it is actually great for the real estate sector. But what about investments in the residential sector? Is that something that we don't want? How do we see that thing?
Well, I guess rightfully, real estate will be one place where monies will always be invested. It's a question of people moving in and out of an investment. I mean, though it's not, I'm happy that people are not playing it like the stock market where they're expecting a return almost every quarter or every half year. Long-term returns are fairly stable. But yes, if there is a REIT instrument like the REIT instrument for commercial, if it comes in for residential too, there will be a lot of money that will come into the marketplace. There will be a lot of, see, what's happened is it will become a form of a natural saving. And if you really look at it over a period of time, all those people who did strata sales in commercial was only because there was no availability of funds to pull up the building. Then a lot of them, because they could get future rental discounting and stuff like that, moved from strata sale to completing the building and then renting out. And then the rental discounting benefited them that they could rental discount it and then go forward. That's how all the 3 REITs that have come out so far have been successful. And this budget surprisingly has taxed distribution, which was earlier, distribution was no tax at all. Now they have said if the distribution is going to be used to pay a bank loan, a debt, then there is a tax on it.
Okay.
That is at the hands of the individual. That's a little negative for the real estate piece. Otherwise, in terms of commercial real estate, I think the world over has gone to REITs 50 years ago.
Okay.
The only way for us to grow and continue growth is to put it in REITs. And that's where it comes. When it comes to residential, even today, 90% of the residentials that you see comes from family-owned companies and family-owned offices. These are your buyers. So what happens is, the average individual buyer, if you really look in a 30 years ago or 35 years ago, the average age of the purchaser was 55, which has now come down to 24, 23. I do believe that an Indian today at the age of 23 who's buying his first home, at 35, he will become the purchaser for a second home. Maybe for himself, maybe for his children, maybe for his family, or maybe for leisure. It could be for any purpose.
Sure.
But without a shadow of doubt, an average Indian home owning 2 homes in the near future is going to be a reality.
Okay.
It's not going to be as distant a dream as it was 30 years ago.
See that, okay, I mean, one of the things that also happened during the COVID was that a lot of demand went back to tier 2, tier 3 cities. Because pre-global financial crisis of 2008, almost all the top developers in any part of the country were expanding very aggressively into tier 2, tier 3 cities also. I mean, even for example, a DLF from Delhi, from NCR, had moved into the tier 2, tier 3 cities of South India and, various beyond. Of course, a defunct company now, Sahara, had gone all over the country and had land banks everywhere. But global financial crisis forced them all to withdraw and focus only on their core markets. In the COVID, we saw that a lot of the employees from various companies went back to tier 2, tier 3 cities, which allowed demand to pick up out there. What do you think will happen henceforth? Because demand has returned to the major metros also. But how do we see this playing out? Any?
No, personally, I feel that the demand in tier 2, tier 3 cities will be sustained and it will be self-sustained. It's not necessarily for those who went back during the COVID times, because those who went back, some of them would have come back, some of them would have found new opportunities. And India today is becoming an opportunity at every location that you want it to be. So I see demand both in tier 2 and tier 3 cities growing, but I don't think that demand is going to eat into the demand of tier 1 city.
Real estate, especially to be successful in Pan India or different micro markets, it requires a lot of micro market data, knowledge, expertise kind of thing. So without this expertise, who just try to replicate what they have done, everyone got failed. Now everyone, whoever they are able to continue in business, they are trying to learn the lessons and they are now selecting the markets. Okay, which micro market I have the knowledge, which micro market I could understand the behavior of the targeted audience. So now the players are selectively. Now we were operating in Bangalore last 15-20 years. No, earlier we operated in Hyderabad, then Bangalore. Now we went back to Hyderabad. Now we are operating in. So after getting into understand of a particular micro market or city, developers are going and trying. It's not just doing one project kind of thing, spreading across the city like that. When it comes to your other question, investors in residential real estate, always investors will be into that particular market, okay, in next 2-3 years or in short term, when the capital values are going, when they foresee the appreciation of capital values in the near future, in the very near term, not even the medium term, then the investors will come. This happened in NCR 2006-8, NCR, Ahmedabad, some of the markets, when the capital values are growing up very, very fast. Even Mumbai it happened. Now that phenomenon you can able to see in Hyderabad. last 5 years, it is completely driven by the investors market. So these investors will be there depending upon where the capital value appreciation. When it comes to residential sector, now majority of the markets we don't see that kind of capital market appreciation, so investors contribution will be very little, but even the end user contribution is going to be phenomenal, and it's going to add to the real growth of the real estate sector. That's what I believe.
Important this thing is this whole concept of hybrid working which has come in also, right?
Yeah.
Where offices, if they continue to allow their employees to come in only 1 or 2 times in a week, then the rest of the days you can live anywhere else, right? And just come into office in those days. And that is why, this whole economy is working. I think one of the not enough credit has been given to the government when they introduced this initiative during the COVID days, work from anywhere. Work from home, everyone was talking globally, but to the credit of the Indian government that they brought in and said, we will allow work from anywhere. So they even relaxed the SEZ rules and said employees of SEZs can also work from anywhere. Okay, so that I think really also helped us to sustain as an economy and the real estate sector also as well as that.
When it comes to buying the flat, the customer's contribution used to be between 15 to 20%. Last 1 year, we have noticed that it has come to 35 to 40%.
What you are saying is so true. Like in one of the customer profiling, we've questioned this source of funds. Because 50% of our customers are now putting up 40% of the money. And even the balance 60% loan, they're very clearly saying, sir, we'll see as per progress whether we'll take it or whether we can pool it. So that means there is wealth coming down from generation.
Would each one of you like to wind up with one key sentence? It could be anything. I mean, either it's something that you expect the government to do or you think this will be the trend of the future. Any one distinct statement that all of you would like to make?
I believe in growth potential of India, and the next decade or next century is of India's. And for the growth of India, definitely GDP of the India, real estate is going to be one of the major contributor, and I am proud and happy being in that particular real estate sector, contributing to India. Thank you.
So my piece of advice to the general buyers, so the best investment on earth is earth, the real asset. So stay invested.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.